Good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm Angela Tsukiji. I'm the Vice President of Member Services at the North State BIA. I would like to say, first of all, everybody that's in the room, we have about 30 people in the room right now. Everybody that's here are members of the North State Building Industry Association. So I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for your membership. It means a lot. The stronger our membership is, the stronger our voice is. And so I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But what we have going on today is selling Folsom. Oh, well, let me go back to what I was going to say. So the stronger our voice is, because we have the main core of what the BIA is our government affairs team. You'll see Vance Gerard on the line right now, and he'll say a few words in just a little bit. But one of the jobs, well, the main focus of what the BIA does is government affairs and them cultivating relationships with elected officials and city officials, people that make the decisions on when, where, and how we build. Does that make sense? When, where, and how we build. So Vance is our legislative advocate for Folsom and along that Highway 50 corridor, and I think maybe a couple other areas that he'll mention. But so his main job is communicating with the elected officials representing the home building industry, because we want to promote more development. When the cities and counties are allowing us to build in ways that are beneficial for us to be able to sell homes, then the more you are working, right? So that's the core of who the BI is, who we are, and what we do. And that's why we have programs like this, Selling Folsom. We most recently had Selling Roseville, where we had the mayor speak. And today we have Councilmember Sarah Aquino. So with today, we've got the next 45 minutes or so with her, but I want to give our two sponsors a few seconds of time to be able to let us know who they are and what they do. They are important, they're members as well, and they are supporting today's event as sponsors. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and ask Jason Cruz with Safe Credit Union. Let's hear what's going on with you today.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and support the BIA and the real estate community at large in the greater Sacramento area. It's very near and dear to myself and Safe Credit Union. As a credit union, our sole value is to serve our community and our membership. And so through the BIA and the real estate community, we're able to serve that community, gain new members, gain exposure, and provide a service that we believe is exceptional for everybody involved. The Folsom area particularly is very dear to us because we're headquartered in Folsom. This is our home. We see it growing right across Highway 50. We see all the expansive homes going in there. I can see it from my office window. So, it's a very exciting time. And once again, Safe is just really pleased to be able to support the community. We do have a number of very specific builder programs that we've developed over the years. We do work as a preferred lender for many of the area's home builders, not just in the Sacramento area, but in Northern California in general, both public and private regionals, as well as having remarkable service for the resale agents as well. So if you'd like to find out more, you can reach out to me specifically, and I can make sure that you're connected with the right people.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate all of your support and your membership. We've had some really great conversations. I appreciate learning about your new products and services all the time. And I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon, because you're always at our events. And then next, I would like to introduce our second sponsor of the day, Eric McKean. He is with Ramirez & Co. Eric?
Great. Well, thank you, Angela, and great to be here as well. I've now been a member of North State BIA for 1 year, so it's been really great to get to know all of you and get more involved. But Ramirez, we've been in business for about 50 years, and we provide, I would say, unique tax-exempt financing through municipal bonds. So we're a municipal bond underwriter, and so we help developers and builders finance certain infrastructure and impact fees that are required by local governments to build. We were involved with about 20% of all the municipal bonds brought to market last year. So if you have a master plan community or large residential subdivision that could benefit from this type of financing, please reach out. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. And this is probably like the third event, I believe, that you have sponsored within the 1 year that you've been a member. So thank you very much. We appreciate your involvement and your membership and your great participation. So with that, there's a couple of things that I want to mention before I turn the table over to Vance. We do have a couple upcoming events that are happening that are specific towards new home sales agents, but it, of course, like today, is not limited to new home sales. So it is on July 21st, we're doing construction as a sales tool. This is when we get to have some classroom education, but then we go out and do a frame walk and be able to look and see what's behind the walls, basically, of new home construction, so that you can learn more about building a home and the construction of a home, which would help you sell new homes better, right? And so I hope you'll be able to attend that. We don't know yet if we're going to be in Roseville or Folsom. It depends on where we have a site where we can do a frame walk. So if any of you are going to have models or even new homes available where we might be able to do that at your site, please be sure to get in touch with me. And then on August 24th, negotiation and new home sales. This is going to be presented by Jim Seth. If you had attended our last class that he did, you would really enjoy going to see him again. That's going to be at August 24th. It's a 8:30 to 10 a.m. class in Roseville at the same location at Whitney Oaks Golf Club. Negotiation and new home sales. So if you have any questions or anything like that about any of our events, please be sure to reach out to me. Y'all have my email address, I know. And if you need to get in touch with Eric or Jason or Councilmember Aquino or Vance, you can reach out to me and I will connect you. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce one of our legislative advocates here at the North State BIA. I believe, Vance, you've been here for about 2 years now, right?
Just over a year now, actually. So I think Eric and I probably came on board about the same time.
Perhaps, yeah. I guess I love you so much. Maybe that's why I thought you had been here longer.
I settled in really, really quickly. So
it was a very easy relationship to start. So with that said, thank you again to our sponsors, and also Vance, if you wouldn't mind introducing our special guest speaker, I would love that.
Absolutely. So as Angela mentioned, I am one of the legislative advocates for our government affairs team. And of all the jurisdictions I get to work with, one of the best and possibly easiest ones to work with is the city of Folsom. And when it comes to working with a city, whether or not it's easy to do so, that comes from the leadership up top. And that includes our guest speaker today. Councilmember Sarah Aquino has been on the city council since 2018. She has served as vice mayor, I believe, twice now, mayor in 2020. Talk about a tough year to be mayor. But she powered through and she's still on board now. She previously served on the Folsom Cordova School Board of Education, and she currently serves as a city council member on the Folsom El Dorado County JPA, the Sacramento-Placerville Transportation Corridor, JPA, Sacramento County Regional SAN, and the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District, and she does not have a lot of free time. So we are extremely grateful to have her here with us today. And just to show you what a great partner she is the only council member that has reached out to me multiple times asking for contact information for people in the building community. That's how involved she is and how hard she works. So without further ado, our guest speaker today, Councilmember Sarah Aquino.
Thanks very much, Vance. Thank you all for having me. This is the third time I've been asked to come sell Folsom, and it's always a pleasure to be able to come share what is happening in the city I love. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of power through this presentation. I'll leave plenty of time at the end for questions. I'm also happy to share this with Angela if she wants to send it out. So don't feel like you have to scribble down a bunch of notes or take pictures or anything like that. We can get it to you. So it's not often that I have to present on Zoom. So let me make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Are we good?
Yes.
Everybody can see this? Okay. So I want to start out talking about something that really isn't very sexy. I just want to get it out of the way and then we can talk about the fun stuff. But I think it's important that you know that we recently had a change to the way that we elect our city council members here in Folsom. You probably won't get questions about this from potential buyers, but I think it's important that you have the information anyway. So in the past, in the city of Folsom, since we incorporated in 1946, we've always had at-large elections, and we now have transitioned to by-district elections. And the easiest way for me to explain the difference between those two is to use myself as an example. So when I was first elected to the council in 2018, I was elected at large. I was one of 12 people running for 3 spots on the council. And so we all appeared on the same ballot. The same ballot went to every registered voter in the city. And you could vote for 1, 2, or 3 people. And the top 3 vote getters were elected. And so that's how I got on the council in 2018. For reasons I won't bore you with, they're pretty much, there's kind of a trend in the state of California where eventually probably every city and school district and special district will be elected by district. And so now when I ran for re-election in 2022, I didn't run at large or citywide. I only ran in my particular district. So in 2022, we were forced to move to by-district elections. So we had a bunch of public meetings and we essentially divided the city up into 5 districts. They are roughly equal in population, but they are not necessarily the same geographically, just in terms of their size. And so when I ran in 2022, I ran against 2 challengers to be the District 3 representative. So it was just the 3 of us on the ballot. The voters could only vote for 1 of us, and the ballot was only sent to the registered voters in District 3. If you lived in District 1, you got a ballot with the 2 District 1 candidates. If you lived in District 5, you got a ballot with the 2 District 5 candidates. So this is a map of how the city is divided now. You can tell it kind of looks like a jigsaw puzzle. It's a really kind of complex and interesting process to divide a jurisdiction. Obviously, you try to do it along major streets and that sort of thing, but it is complicated. So I represent now District 3, which includes all of Empire Ranch. It includes a little sliver of Lexington Hills. It includes the area of Broadstone that is east of East Bidwell, so kind of the Costco, Green Acres area, and then everything south of 50. And obviously the population south of 50 is going to continue to grow. This districting process was done based on the 2020 census numbers. So by the time we redo this after the 2030 census, obviously District 3 is going to be disproportionately larger than any other district, and that will kind of get adjusted in 2030. So in 2022, districts 1, 3, and 5 were up for election, and then in 2024, districts 2 and 4 will be up for election, and then we still retain our same 4-year schedule. Our council still selects the mayor and the vice mayor every December, so that part hasn't changed. And I will say that for the most part, in terms of the way that council operates, in terms of the way the city operates, nothing's changed. If you contact me and you have a question or a concern, or you need help with something, I'm going to help you no matter which district you live in. And I know my colleagues feel the same. But I would say that one of the advantages of by district, and I think there are, advantages and disadvantages, but I think it's really allowing us to kind of drill down. Obviously, I'm focused on the entire city, but I'm hyper focused on District 3. And so, for example, I'm in the process right now of reaching out to every business owner in District 3 and just saying, hey, I'm your representative on the city council. Thank you for doing business in Folsom. And please feel free to reach out to me, should you need any assistance from the city. So anyway, just kind of, interesting. And again, I know Rancho Cordova recently got the kind of the dreaded letter that starts the process. So eventually, I think you'll see every city in the state, at least in this region, that will be elected by district. So with that out of the way, we can kind of move to some of the fun stuff. So I grew up in Fair Oaks. I've lived in Sacramento County uninterrupted since 1976. So I've been around a long time. When my husband and I got married in 1999, we bought our first house in River Park, which is the neighborhood across from Sac State. And we loved it, but I really wanted a brand new house, and I wanted a room for a swimming pool and a walk-in pantry and all that kind of stuff. And so we started looking at different communities where new homes were being built. And it was my mom who said, why don't you check out Folsom? They do things right. And so we bought an Elliott home we moved in December 5th, 2003. We've been in the same house ever since. We love it. We love our neighbors. I'll tell you a kind of a funny story. We live in a cul-de-sac. It's flat. We have almost half an acre, and the lot premium was $20,000. And at the time, my husband and I thought that was quite a chunk of change. Now, looking back, it's the best money we ever spent. So, but one of the reasons that I love Folsom is because we have bigger city amenities, but a small town feel. So, we have Folsom Lake College and the Harris Center, and light rail comes to Folsom. We have a hospital. We have our own zoo, good shopping. I rarely have to leave Folsom, but we also work really hard to maintain that small town feel where, folks care about one another. And so, I love living in Folsom, and I think my mom was right, and we made a good decision. The other thing that I like about living in Folsom as a resident is we are what you would call a full service city. So some cities contract, for example, with the county sheriff's office for their law enforcement needs. We don't. We have the Folsom Police Department. Some cities are served by Metro Fire or Cosumnes Fire District. We are not. We have the Folsom Fire Department. Some cities contract out for their solid waste services, garbage, recycling, green waste pickup, all that sort of thing with Republic Services or another company. We don't. We have our own solid waste department. So we are a full service city. I think there are two advantages to that. Number one, it allows us to control costs. And the second thing is our employees give really, really good service to our residents. And I'll show you some examples of that in the future. But I'm just going to highlight a couple of our city departments here, and then we'll go to some kind of non-city things. But we have a Folsom Police Department. We have currently 81 sworn officers, and we're always looking to add more. We have 2 school resource officers. Those are full-fledged police officers, but they are partially paid for by the Folsom Cordova School District, and they are primarily assigned to the schools. As Vance said, I served on the school board for 4 years, and you may or may not know that there are certain offenses that if it happens at a school, law enforcement must be called. That is part of the education code. And so we are grateful that the school district leadership agrees that it is best to have dedicated officers who know how to handle those situations and who hopefully are developing really good relationships with students and staff. So we've got 2 SROs on the Folsom side. We have a canine unit. We have a mounted unit. That's officers on horseback. You may have seen a couple months ago on the news, there was a couple folks who stole some merchandise from the Folsom Premium Outlets, and they were pursued and apprehended by a couple of our officers on horseback, which is pretty cool. We also have a social worker paid for by Sacramento County who rides with our officers 40 hours a week, responding to mental health calls. And then we have a volunteer group called CAPS, Citizens Assisting Public Safety, and they are an invaluable resource for us. They do a lot of the kind of things that need to be done so that our officers are freed up to do other things. So for example, maybe they do traffic control or direct traffic if there's a major accident or if there's a special event. They can write parking tickets. One of the cool things that CAPS does for us is if you live in the city of Folsom and you're going on vacation, you can contact the police department and request a vacation check. And the couple CAPS folks will come by your house every couple days and make sure that your newspapers and packages and stuff are not piling up on your porch. They've been even been known to water plants on occasion. So really, really valuable service that they provide for us. Our Folsom Fire Department, we currently have 5 stations. There are 2 stations planned for south of 50. The first one, Station 34, is set to open in the spring of next year. Construction actually started on it a couple months ago, but we had the official groundbreaking yesterday, and I'll show you some pictures from that in a minute. Just like other agencies, we have mutual aid agreements. And so that means, police and fire have these. So if there's a huge, 5-alarm fire or something in Folsom and we don't have enough engines and trucks to deal with it, Sac Metro will come help out, or El Dorado County or whatever. And then of course we reciprocate when they need our services. And this adorable little guy is Blitz, and he is one of the newest members of our fire department. That was actually last year when he was still just a few months old. He's a little bit bigger now and his coloring has changed just a bit, but Blitz was gifted to our fire department by a local nonprofit, and he does make public appearances. So he goes to special events and he'll go to school classrooms and all that sort of stuff. But really Blitz's primary job is supporting our firefighters. And as you can imagine, police and fire see some horrendous things in their line of work. And some of those are especially difficult for them to deal with mentally and emotionally, especially when a child is involved. So Blitz's job is to just kind of go around and spread good cheer, and we love Blitz. This right here is the rendering of what Fire Station 34 is going to look like south of 50. You can see it's a 1-story building. It's got that red siding like we have at the Fire Station 39 in Empire Ranch, which is a really good looking fire station. So the bottom rendering there shows the front, and then we got a side view there too. This will be able to house 2 engines and an ambulance. So we could have up to 5 personnel there. And again, that is scheduled to open next year in the spring. We are currently breaking ground on our 49th park. This is the first of 9 parks planned for south of 50. Obviously, the name Prospector Park is a nod to the city's gold rush history. And just yesterday, we actually had the groundbreaking for Prospector Park and Fire Station 34. So it was a really fun event. We met at Prospector Park. We did all the speeches and broke ground. And then you see, we invited some kids to come up and do it with us. And then we had a little parade. So if you wanted to walk or ride your bike, you could do that. That's Mayor Rosario Rodriguez and myself. I got my bike decorated up, and we followed the caravan. So we followed the fire engines from the park site to the fire station site, where we again broke ground. And of course, we had the pink ice cream cart lady there, so everybody could have free ice cream, which is great when the temperature hits triple digits. So again, first of 9 parks planned for south of 50. As I mentioned, we're a full service city, and I think one of the greatest benefits of that is that our employees go above and beyond in serving our residents. And here are 2 photos that I just want to share. They're both a couple of years old, but are just a really good example of how our employees serve our residents. So on the left, you see a couple of Folsom firefighters. They had responded to a call. Somebody was up on a ladder cleaning their gutters and fell and had to be taken to the hospital. But after they dropped off the patient at the hospital, our fire department came back and finished the job of cleaning the gutters and hosing everything down. And on the right-hand side, this was in the news a few years ago, you may remember, but this woman was doing the dishes in her kitchen, and she put her wedding ring on a paper towel. And so you know where this story is going, but she mistakenly threw away the paper towel that had her wedding ring in it, put it in the garbage bag, put the garbage bag in the can, and put the can out on the street because it was her pickup day. And by the time she realized what she had done, the garbage had already been dropped at the landfill. So she called the solid waste department. They radioed the driver and another driver went out and showed her where that they had dumped the trash, and they helped her go through the bags and she ended up finding her wedding ring. So a pretty cool story. Just some examples of what I was talking about with where we really try hard to foster a small town feel. Up that picture on the left-hand upper corner, that was in 2020 when I was the mayor, which is why we were wearing masks. But that woman, Louise Morton, she has since passed away, but that was her 102nd birthday. And she lives in Diamond Glen, which is the first senior living community in Folsom off of Sibley. And so her neighbors arranged for her to have a little drive by with neighbors, and you can see our fire and police personnel in there. So it was pretty cool. On the right-hand side, Uncle Sam, that's Adam Frick, who's kind of a local, well-known guy. He runs Folsom Times News, and that is just from last weekend. That was the hometown parade that's put on by the Folsom Historic District Association, which is the Merchants Association. And then the bottom picture, Folsom holds an annual community service day. It's the third Saturday of the month. We get over 3,000 volunteers who tackle over 100 projects. Sometimes it's spreading bark at the schools. This past year, they had volunteers who helped put a new roof on the Twin Lakes Food Bank. Last couple of years, my family and I have gone over to the mobile home parks and done some painting and weeding and all that kind of stuff for some seniors. And those folks in this picture, they are sorting food, because part of Community Service Day is collecting food for the Twin Lakes Food Bank. And we routinely collect over 60,000 pounds of food in that one day. So just a few examples of how we try to foster that small town feel, even though we're a mid-sized city with about 82,000 residents these days. So outside of city government, Jason, you will appreciate this quote. Henry Wers, who was a former CEO of Safe Credit Union, said one time, "If you want your kids to get a private school education, send them to public school in Folsom." And I can't tell you how many times I have repeated this line. My kids went, my daughter from 1st grade through 12th grade in Folsom Cordova schools, my son from kindergarten through 12th. They are now, one's graduated from college, the other's in college, but they had a great education in Folsom Cordova. Obviously, rigorous academics. Folsom Cordova regularly ranks the top in Sacramento County. Fantastic art and athletics at all schools. Obviously, you've heard about the Folsom High football team, been state championships, beat De La Salle last year, all that kind of stuff. But Vista Del Lago High School, which is near my house where my kids went, also has really great athletics. They're not in the same division as Folsom High because they don't have as many students, but really good athletics at both schools. Really great arts in all of our schools, drama, music, painting, all that kind of stuff. Elementary music. Every 4th and 5th grader still takes music in Folsom Cordova. 4th grade, they can take general music, which is kind of like singing and playing the recorder, or they can choose an orchestral instrument. And in 5th grade, you can do either of those, or you can also take a brass instrument. And when I was on the school board, I regularly heard from board members in other districts, particularly the Elk Grove folks used to say this to me. They said, "It's so great that you still offer music in 4th and 5th grade. We no longer do that." And just to tell you how impactful that can be in a student's life, my daughter started playing the violin in 4th grade at Russell Ranch Elementary School in Empire Ranch. And she just graduated from UOP, the University of the Pacific, from their conservatory as a violin performance major, and she plans to make her living as a musician. So really, really thankful that we still offer that in Folsom Cordova. We also have, obviously the comprehensive schools, the normal traditional options, but we also have non-traditional options. And my kids both took advantage of some of those opportunities. So in middle school, rather than going to Folsom Middle, my daughter, for various reasons, actually did the homeschool program, the Folsom Cordova Community Charter School, where you meet with a teacher. I can't remember if it was once a week or once every 2 weeks, and then they have different workshops where you can go to it, and that ended up being a great option for her before she went to Vista. My son was a sophomore when COVID hit that March of 2020, and I told him, I said, "Trust me on this, you don't want to do Zoom calls your entire junior year. Do Walnutwood Independent Study, hope that the pandemic has, kind of subsided, and go back to Vista for your senior year," which is what he did. So junior year, he did Walnutwood. Again, you meet with the teacher online once a week. He did everything at his own pace. He had enough time where he was able to get a job. And then he went back to Vista Del Lago and graduated with his friends for his senior year. Folsom Cordova runs its own SELPA, which is a special education local plan area. So basically we handle all of our own special education services. They are not outsourced to the county like some other school districts do. And we have state-of-the-art facilities, especially here in Folsom. I do want to mention, just because this may come up in some of your conversations, every 20 years or so, there is talk about splitting the district, splitting Folsom and Rancho Cordova into 2 districts. We recently, just a couple weeks ago, had a joint meeting, Rancho Cordova City Council, Folsom City Council, and the Folsom Cordova School Board. And it's really this time the Rancho Cordova City Council who is driving this effort. They would like to split the school district. And ideally, what they would like is for all of Rancho Cordova to be in 1 district. Currently, about 70% of Rancho Cordova schools are in the Folsom Cordova district, and the others are in Elk Grove and Sac City. And they would like all of them to be in Rancho Cordova, governed by 5 or more Rancho Cordovans on a governing board. And if I was a Rancho Cordova resident, I would want that too. But there is a very arduous process to go through at the county level and the state level to split a school district, join a school district, all that kind of stuff. There are 9 criteria that have to be met in order to split the school district. In the past, when this was tried, I think probably 20 years ago, the district, they couldn't meet all 9 criteria. So we'll see what will happen. But all 3 entities, both cities and the school district, have agreed to share in the cost of a consultant who's basically going to do a feasibility study, and we should have that back probably sometime this fall. So just something to be aware of, and maybe something to keep your eye on. I talked about state-of-the-art facilities. This is a rendering of Mangini Ranch Elementary School, which opened south of 50 in the fall of 2021. I tried to find an actual present day picture online, and I couldn't find anything as good as this, but this is basically what the school looks like. It's absolutely spectacular. If you haven't seen it, the principal is Kanan Peterson, and he's very gracious about giving tours and letting folks come and check it out. It is it's 1 building. So the idea is that you could shut it down very easily if there were some sort of, active shooter or something. And then it's 2-story, but it is so spectacular. And it is the first of 5 elementary schools planned for south of 50. There's also a middle school and a high school planned. The second elementary school is going to be Alder Creek Elementary, and that's scheduled to open in the fall of 2024. And we actually just went to a groundbreaking that the school district hosted maybe a month or 2 ago. Also of note, the city tends to put parks next door to schools. So Prospector Park, that we just had the groundbreaking for yesterday, will be next door to Mangini Ranch Elementary. And then our second park will be next door to Alder Creek Elementary. Another reason to choose Folsom, SMUD. We get our electricity from SMUD rather than PG&E. And so obviously, if folks who are choosing between Folsom and El Dorado Hills, this is a big selling point, as is the fact that you can still get homeowners insurance in the city of Folsom. So I always like to throw that slide in there. I like to throw this slide in. This is about kind of giving yourself the gift of time and skipping the commute and not spending, maybe an hour each direction on Highway 50. So we have lots of major employers here in the city of Folsom: Intel, Micron, Cal ISO, Safe Credit Union is headquartered here, as Jason mentioned. Power School, that little app that you might have on your phone if you have kids in school, where you get to check their grades and their attendance and stuff. They are headquartered in Folsom. Obviously, Dignity Health, UC Davis, and Kaiser already have a strong presence here, and that will even just grow over the next several years. And then Folsom State Prison and California State Prison Sacramento are both located in Folsom, although they are tucked away, and most people, although they're aware of them, most people probably never set foot on those things. I happen to chair the Citizens Advisory Committee for the prison, so I get to go to prison every other month, which is really a highlight for me. But those institutions provide very high quality, high paying jobs, and I have a number of friends and neighbors who have worked at the prisons over the years, and let me tell you, they are now enjoying very, very nice pensions in their retirement years. We do have a variety of housing stock in Folsom, and we're always trying to diversify. Obviously, we have single family homes. You're going to find the larger lots for the most part in some of the more established neighborhoods like American River Canyon. But as I mentioned, even my house in Empire Ranch, I'm pretty lucky. I have almost a half an acre. We have apartments, both market rate and affordable. We have some lofts on Sutter Street. Like, so if you like that more urban lifestyle or walking around, that sort of thing. Active adult communities, I mentioned the Diamond Glen, but we also have Toll Brothers south of 50. We're going to have a town center, much like the El Dorado Hills Town Center. And then obviously accessory dwelling units are kind of all the rage because they're being pushed by the state. So lots of a variety of housing options. And we're always trying to find things that will appeal to the 20 and 30-year-olds that our kids will want to move back to Folsom after they graduate from college or high school. Some things that are coming soon. You may see the shops at Folsom Ranch if you're driving along East Bidwell south of 50. It's at the corner of East Bidwell and Alder Creek Parkway. Those are nearing completion. They look great. The first tenants are scheduled to open this fall. Some food establishments called Bento Box, Slice House, and Capriotti's Sandwich Shop have all been announced as tenants at the shops at Folsom Ranch, as have Chevron and a nail salon. They're also expecting a national coffee chain, and hopefully we'll hear an announcement on that soon. The second shopping center, which should be on board, is called South Point at Folsom Ranch. It's at the corner of White Rock and East Bidwell. The first tenants should arrive there early next year. So far, I've heard about a Circle K and a veterinarian clinic, but they say that restaurants and doctors' offices are likely there also. As I mentioned, Dignity Health is already a presence in Folsom. We have Mercy Hospital of Folsom, which we're thankful to have. But Dignity bought 27 acres in Folsom Ranch for a medical office complex. If you've been out there lately, you can see that a lot of earth is being moved. Currently, a 65,000 square foot office building is under construction and planned to open. I had open late this year, but I don't know if that's still accurate. I'm guessing sometime next year. And then future phases would include a second office building and hopefully a hospital. That's what they've told us. But then I also was talking to a doctor recently who said, well, they may decide to expand the current hospital or whatever. So all that, I think Dignity is kind of still working out. Right across the street from them, UC Davis purchased 34 acres, and their first phase is also a medical office building, also a lot of earth being moved at that site right now. And future phases for them include a micro hospital, which I'm told by UC Davis doctors has all the same capabilities of a regular hospital, just smaller. Also an ambulatory surgery center and a hotel. And although we work very closely with them, they actually are their own government agency, so they really don't have to come to our planning commission for approvals and that sort of thing. And then obviously Kaiser has owned the land behind the Palladio for a very long time. They've submitted an application to the city for a 260,000 square foot building, which they call a comprehensive care center. And so we're looking forward to that. The city of Folsom is very fortunate to be situated alongside Lake Natoma and Folsom Lake. And, there are other cities who have done a really good job of kind of orienting themselves toward the water. And so we recently put together a committee to form a river district master plan. Obviously, most of the land along the lakes and rivers is owned by the state and federal governments, but there are some pieces that the city of Folsom owns. And the way that I explain it is, it's kind of like the city of Folsom is next door neighbors with the state and federal government. And to the extent that we can coordinate and communicate on our plans, the curb appeal will be better for everybody, rather than us doing a landscape, theme or a desert landscape and them doing a tropical or something. So it's really just trying to kind of develop a plan for that, what we call the river district, but also the state parks has their own master plan for that area too. And then also one of the things we're recently hired a consultant for is to revitalize what we call the Central Business District. That's the area basically from Blue Ravine to Sutter Middle School and in between East Bidwell and Riley Street. Quite frankly, it's looking a little bit tired and we don't want it to get left behind with all of the new development in Folsom. So we're very committed to that effort. First of all, I think it needs a rebranding because it's no longer just the Central Business District. There is housing in there. There are some apartments. And I think if we can make it kind of an eclectic, funky, walkable, kind of more of an urban feel within a suburban city, I think that will be attractive again to a lot of those 20 and 30-year-olds. I put the link down there. And again, I can send out these slides to Angela, but that's the link where you could check for project information for upcoming projects in Folsom. And then this is just, I like to add something always a little bit cheeky to these presentations, but all beams lead to Folsom. So obviously the Light the Beam and the success of the Sacramento Kings has been kind of all the rage this past year. But did you know that those beams are made by a company that is headquartered in Folsom? So always like to include that. And then this is me, and this is my cell phone number. This is my email address. You are always welcome to contact me directly. You can call me, email me, text me. It's never a bother. I'm always here to answer questions or take your feedback. So with that, I will open it up to any questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, council member. That was, I honestly learned more about Folsom than I knew, and I should probably know some of those things. But definitely a lot of great reasons to choose Folsom for sure. I was actually thinking about it as you were going through some of it, and I've actually eaten out to dinner more in Folsom this month than I have in the city of Sacramento, which is where I live.
Oh, we like that. We like that sales tax revenue.
So we do have a couple of questions in chat. If anyone else has questions that they have not submitted, please just put them in the chat. We're going to go first to Lisa Edward. And Lisa, we're going to go ahead and let you ask your question out loud.
Hi, Sarah. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Edward with Old Republic Title Builder Services and Commercial Real Estate. We handle quite a bit of the escrows that are happening, not particularly in Folsom just yet, but I live out here in Rancho Murrieta, and there's a lot of growth happening out here, as you probably know, Sarah. And I'm just wondering, that corridor just off your district coming out towards Rancho Murrieta and to Scott Road, what's the plan for that? I've heard so many different things, and maybe if you know, you could enlighten us on that.
Well, I will just say that there is and there always will be pressure on Folsom, excuse me, to develop south of 50 or south of White Rock, excuse me. So, you know, I think at some point we need to figure out who we are. Do we really need to be the biggest? Or do we want to focus on quality more than quantity? So I think you'll see some things coming before the council soon. But whether the council decides that we want to expand our borders is a different story. But there will always be pressure on the city of Folsom to continue to grow.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to throw it over to our sponsor, Jason, who has a question as well.
Hi, everybody. Sarah, there's great information. I learned a lot, just like Vance. I mean, I live not in Folsom, but being headquartered in Folsom, I'm there all the time, eating lunch, coming down there for dinner, that sort of thing. And a lot of remarkable information. So thank you for that. My question is more to the ease of starting or relocating a business for people that want to relocate their homes or buy in the Folsom area. Could you briefly touch on the ease of the business climate and starting or relocating a business?
Yeah, so Folsom is a little bit probably different than we do it differently than some other cities in the region. We do not have an in-house economic development director at this time. We work very closely with Choose Folsom, which is the umbrella organization over the Folsom Chamber of Commerce, the Folsom Tourism Bureau, and the Folsom Economic Development Corporation. And so I think one of the advantages of doing that is they are, you know, they're not a government agency, so they have the ability to be a little bit more flexible and a little bit more nimble. But so I'd say we work in partnership with them. And you know, if there is somebody who wants to relocate to Folsom or open a business, I think that we do a good job of trying to provide, you know, kind of concierge level services. But Choose Folsom is kind of definitely, we make sure that they're part of the process. As I said, I think there are some things that, you know, that we can do as a city. I mentioned that I'm reaching out to every business owner in the 3rd district and just thanking them for doing business here and letting them know if they ever have, you know, questions or concerns or need help from the city, that they could feel free to use me as a resource. So we do have some things on the City of Folsom website about opening a business, and then obviously on the choosefolsom.com website. So hopefully that answers your questions, but definitely it is a partnership between the city and Choose Folsom.
Great, thank you.
All right, and we have another question from a member that I think got disconnected, but Ina with Beezer Homes asked, She said, thank you for your public service. First of all, do you have any specific goals that you are still looking to achieve during your time on the council?
Oh, lots. I mean, the central business district, even though it's no longer technically in my district, has always been a goal for me of revitalizing that. I'd love just some of the amenities I'd love to see in Folsom. I'd love to see a formal rose garden. As I travel around, look at different cities, we need a place in Folsom, kind of like a McKinley Park in Sacramento, where people could get married outside, where kids can go and take prom pictures. It seems like kids in Folsom go to Serrano to take prom pictures, and kids in El Dorado Hills come down to Palladio to take prom pictures. So I would like to see a formal rose garden here. We are still trying to figure out the best way to kind of honor and celebrate and showcase Folsom's railroad history. And so that's something that I'm interested in, because I chair the JPA that owns those railroad tracks. So lots and lots of stuff that I want to continue to do.
So it sounds like we can count on you being around for a while. Then.
Well, yeah, hopefully, we'll see.
Next question selfishly comes from me, and I just think it's something that would benefit the group. You know, you've mentioned the JPA that you're on. You sit on multiple JPAs. So with all of growth going on south of 50 in Folsom, there's growth going on in Rancho Cordova, and still, you know, some going on just up the hill in El Dorado Hills. How does the city work collaboratively with those other jurisdictions to kind of manage the impacts of that growth?
I think there are kind of a lot of different efforts. Obviously, you know, all of the council members, we all sit on regional boards, and so we build relationships with other jurisdictions that way. There is an effort called the 50 Economic Alliance, which is Choose Folsom. It's the Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce. It's the El Dorado Hills Chamber of Commerce and the El Dorado County Chamber of Commerce, and they're all trying to collectively kind of market the Highway 50 corridor. So that's one effort. So now that I represent District 3 in Folsom, I just kind of did a fun thing a couple months ago. I reached out to Karina Talamontes, who represents District 3 in the city of Sacramento. I reached out to Bruce Howdesheld, who District 3 in Roseville, Kevin Spees from Elk Grove, and Tim Schaefer from Citrus Heights. And I just said, hey, we all represent District 3 in our respective cities. Let's get together and just kind of talk about some stuff. So there's all kinds of efforts like that to try to collaborate and work together for the betterment of the region.
Excellent. And we've got another question in chat from who I believe is one of our newest members of the BIA, and someone that I just got to meet when I was in Southern California, Tyler.
Hey, Vance. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm based down in Orange County right now, but we're going to be opening an office, not sure where, up in Northern California at some point, because a lot of our clients are in that area. But yeah, I just any additional context you can provide here, because I'm kind of new to the area. But you know, what kind of challenges are you seeing that the developers are facing in the city of Folsom, and additionally, what kind of tools does the city provide to incentivize development? I know that's a really broad question, but any base understanding would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. Oh gosh. Just in terms of, I think, you know, the feedback that I get from developers and home builders and stuff is that we have a really great city staff to work with. So I think that's all good. I know there have been some concerns expressed recently about the cost of the schools that are being built south of 50 and how that affects the bonding capacity for other infrastructure. And so there's a conversation happening now between the BIA and the school district and the city and all that kind of stuff. So I think we're pretty proactive as far as that. You know, there will always be those kind of people in Folsom who, you know, the complaint I get all the time is, why are you building so many apartment buildings, right? And then you have to explain to them about the regional housing needs allocation and all of that. So one of the challenges, I think, is probably just public perception. But I don't think that's unique to Folsom. I think that's everywhere, right? Obviously, there's a need for housing. There's a need for housing at all different price points. And so we are committed to the Folsom Plan area or south of 50. And my goal as a council member is to make sure that that new development, that new growth looks and feels like it has always been a part of Folsom. So I hope that answers your question. But again, my contact information there was on the screen, or I can, anyway, feel free to reach out to Angela or Vance, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I've got a sister and her family in Southern Orange County, but we'd love to have you up here in Folsom if it works for you.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So I think that will be our last question for the day. A reminder that Angela put in the chat for everybody is that she's going to be emailing out the recording of this presentation, as well as Councilmember Aquino's PowerPoint as well, which had her contact information, link to you know, the new developments going on in town, and a lot of just really great fun pictures as well. So I hope you all enjoy that. Councilmember, did you have any closing remark you wanted to leave us with?
No, just again, thanks for the opportunity, and feel free to reach out anytime.
Perfect. And you know that I will too. So, all right. Thank you so much, everybody. Angela, I don't know if you wanted to close this out or not.
No, just my usual message, because I'm so grateful for everybody that's online. Thank you for being a member, and thank you, Councilmember Aquino, for being so supportive. And you had mentioned this is your third time speaking in this forum. And I think you are probably the person that has done this presentation the most out of all of our selling series. So that's because we appreciate you so much, and we love it when you do the presentation. So like Dan said, we're glad you're sticking around for a long time. Thank you so much for all of your support and partnership.
Thank you very much.
That's going to be it for the day, y'all. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. Be safe and have fun too. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors as well.